Yes, I'm a primary teacher, so I have to have a few props. And when Stephanie asked me to speak, I was really nervous because I wanted to do Ethan justice. And I immediately felt like I needed to represent the whole elementary school because that was such a big part of his life. And so I was very blessed to get to go around and talk to all the staff members and hear all the wonderful little stories about Ethan. So, oh no, did I forget one? It's right here. There you go. Yeah, it's amazing that Ethan survived in my class because I was not the organized teacher. I think Cindy cured him of that a lot because he handled my class pretty well and things changed all the time. So I was so excited to see Ethan's name on my list in the Patriotic Pal class because I knew Joe. I taught with Joe over at Helen Wilcox. We had a blast. We had an accordion door between our room. We had way too much fun, more fun than teachers should have at school. And so I was excited to get a McCoy. I knew the Amshires, and I was thrilled. And he was a Patriotic Pal. This is what he gave me that year, and I'll always treasure it. It's a Patriotic Pal. Well, Ethan was a bright ray of sunshine. His enthusiasm when he was on was unstoppable. He knew no boundaries. He approached a challenge head on with a glimmer in his eye that you've already heard about. His mind was very creative, intelligent, conniving, and he loved to solve problems, fix things, or create new inventions from odds and ends. I wonder where he got that from. You could say that Ethan came in as many varieties as the succulents he loved so much. So, Ethan, the succulent master, entrepreneur. You've heard about Ethan's love of succulents. Well, that love of succulents was definitely known all around the whole school. Everyone who knew Ethan knew about his succulents. He would stop by almost daily to check his first grade teacher, Mrs. Del Carlo's classroom, and make sure she was taking care of her succulents. And see her turtle and fish in the process, and Mrs. Del Carlo too, yeah. He would talk with Miss Maria during recess yard duty, about the do's and don'ts of how to care for hers and how they don't grow well from seeds. And he gave her daily trivia notes from then on, daily. After seeing that Mrs. Moore, who was his social interaction resource teacher, was not taking good care of his plants, he instructed her, Mrs. Moore, don't touch those again. I will water them every Friday. So, expert advice that she followed wisely. There were many succulents, and there still are, in all the classrooms throughout the school. Because you see, like succulents, Ethan grew with people who tended him properly and gave him just the right amount of sunshine, water, and nutrients. I'll never forget the day that I went to see him at that harvest festival where he was selling his birdhouse and succulents, and he was the ultimate salesman. Many people who bought that plant, Mrs. Pisenti, bought this one too. This one would complement that one so well. Do you want me to put this one on hold for you too? Oh, how about the birdhouses I made with Papa Joe? You need one of those. And his fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Masuda, went there to buy a single succulent, and he ended up selling one to every member of her family before she left. Ethan the reader. Here he is. Here are a couple of his favorites. Ethan, if there was a competition or a challenge, Ethan was determined to win. He did not like to lose. He was one of the top readers in third grade with over 2 million words read, and I saw that he read even more than that in fourth grade. And he blew my old AR point records out of the water. He was a frequent visitor to the library to ask if the books he wanted to read had been turned in yet by the students who checked them out. And he would encourage Mrs. Cargyle and then later Mrs. Walters, the librarians, could you just go tell them that they need to check them back in because I want to read them. He asked Mrs. Cargyle every week to read Chewy Louie. Every week. He wanted it, and he laughed at the same parts every single time. And He was also a fan of the pencil grip machine that he used, but he didn't use the pencil grips for their original intention. He always created something out of them, but it's not to go on a pencil. Ethan, the clever. Ethan had a large wealth of knowledge about a variety of subjects. One day I heard he schooled Mrs. O'Shea. He stopped in and he goes, "Mrs. O'Shea, your goldfish doesn't have enough water in that aquarium." And she's like, "Oh, it's fine. He's doing fine." And she's like, well, actually, Mrs. O'Shea, he liked to say, "Well, actually," and he kind of ran down the list of why it shouldn't be there. Needless to say, Mrs. O'Shea finally got rid of the fish because she kind of had a feeling Ethan was right. Ethan taught Mrs. Moore every day. He would go at the end of the day to check out with her, and he taught her how to play chess. And after winning several games that week every day, he would affectionately walk in after that and boldly ask with his bright eyes and sly smile, "How do you want me to kill you today, Mrs. Moore?" He managed to master the skill of a full sprint in the form of speed walking in order to get outside faster without getting into trouble. He always kind of liked to ride the edge there. He tried to get another student to trade their 2 Legos for 1, and he was almost successful. Miss Lisa stated that his creativity really shone in his art in the vapor room. And in my class, Ethan loved to share his knowledge, and he loved to be unique. He wanted to have a little surprise for everyone, whether it be in his PowerPoint presentation and his coonskin hat during his report, which I did find Stephanie, and when he gave his Davy Crockett speech in class, he actually sang the whole song to the class while he played it on his PowerPoint. He also was very proud of his super cool model of his Papa Steve's blacksmith shop, and he was certainly in his element when our class walked to his Papa Steve's shop the last week of school that year, and he got to be the expert tour guide. Ethan was strong-willed at times, if you didn't know that, and decisive. And one day in the Lego Club with Mrs. Joe, it was his turn to be the president of the Lego Club, and he announced that he didn't want to be the president. He'd already decided he wanted to be the dictator. So he could tell others what they were going to build and what to do because he had the ideas. Ethan in the cafeteria. I had to ask the lunch ladies because they see Ethan every day, saw him every day. Whenever Ethan had hot lunch, he couldn't wait to go up to Miss Holly at the checkout station. He'd smile at her and ask her, "Did you see my Holly today?" Because he thought it was funny that Miss Holly had the same name as his sister. And when it was Ethan's turn to help out with lunch duty, he took it so seriously. If it was his job to hand out the milk or the little sporkettes, the spork forks, fork spoons, he would literally go after anyone who didn't take theirs. Or if they accidentally took 2, you're out of here. He was so professional and serious that it would make the lunch ladies smile. Ethan would ask them, "How did you cook this? I need to tell my mom because it's really good cooking." And Mrs. Moore told me that after Ethan finished eating, he would get up as if to throw away 1 piece of trash at a time, and like a ninja, take the prized chocolate milk or frozen strawberries from the extras tub where the kids would put extra things if they didn't want them. Pre-COVID, of course. That would never happen today, but he found ways, and on certain days when there were really good choices in that tub, he had a lot of trash to throw away 1 piece at a time. He was always thinking. Ethan, the jokester. So Ethan the jokester. Ethan loved joking around incessantly. If a joke was a good one, then tell it again. And if he tricked you once, then a second trick was sure to come. It was nice to have someone who understood all my puns and corny jokes, although he was blatantly honest and would let me know if one didn't quite measure up. Fart jokes were his favorites, and though Mrs. Moore and I tried to eliminate those, I told him that those jokes stunk. He Ethan loved to pester Mr. Mullins, his reading teacher, following him all around at recess, being sure to stay directly behind him and not be seen. Or when Mr. Mullins would pop his head in my room, he would yell out, "Troublemaker!" And Sam, Sutter, and Caden would all join in with him, all of his buddies. Mr. Glover was another teacher that Ethan loved to tease. And once he found out that Mr. Glover and Mrs. Spafford loved the Dodgers, Ethan would often tell them repeatedly, "Giants rule and Dodgers drool," in his sing-songy voice every time he saw them. He scared Mrs. Hardesty once accidentally, and from then on, he tried to scare her every time he saw her jumping out. I don't know if some of you heard the story, maybe on the YouTube, about the orange. And so Ethan brought me an orange from home, and this is one of my sweetest memories as a teacher. He brought this orange and he said, "I brought you an orange, Mrs. Pisenti." And I said, "Thank you, Ethan, I'll have it for snack." And the next day he comes back in, he goes, "Did you eat your orange, Mrs. Pisenti?" And I said, "Yes, I did. Did you like it?" "Oh, it was so good, Ethan. I love that orange." "Was it really juicy?" "It was so juicy. It was one of the juiciest oranges." And he goes, "Do you want to know how we make our family secret to make our oranges so juicy?" And I said, "Yeah, what is? You're going to tell me our family secret?" And he said, "It's my Papa Joe's. It's our pea spot." I will never look at an orange the same way again. And of course, I had to text Joe right away and tell him. And then the next time I saw him, he was bringing some of his other grandkids to school, and I saw him, and he just about doubled over down with laughter on the ground. And he said, "God love my grandson, but he cannot keep a secret." And obviously I can't either, because I just told it to all of you. And Joe said, "They're still watering their orange trees in case you ever want some." Ethan, that's the secret. My last little section, Ethan, the wonderful, the sweetheart. Ethan's experiences at Durham Elementary were mostly good ones. He had a presence that permeated the hallways. His heart was good and true, and he managed to find a way to leave an imprint on all who knew him. Whether it be a high five and a smile in the hallway with Mr. Coffee, or sharing his endless knowledge with the second grade teacher, Mrs. Brown, he went out of his way to connect with staff on campus, whether he is in your class or not. He touched our hearts. He was a character, a one of a kind, a unique soul. And I have been very blessed to hear and share all the stories of the staff at Durham Elementary. We have all grown by having known Ethan. And Mrs. Moore put it best when she said, she wrote a long letter that I'll be giving them. "I will always be a changed person and educator because of Ethan. I recommend all teachers be kids with their students at recess and wear shoes, those high-heeled ones that make you be it, more often during the games of tag." Ethan embraced childhood and his passions with his whole body as if nothing else was happening. And as inspiring as Ethan, the Durham Elementary student, was, I think you'll agree with me that when God decided to loan Ethan to Joey and Stephanie, he couldn't have chosen a better family. For Ethan, Joey and Stephanie, with their large, wonderful families, have supported Ethan, fostered his interests, guided him, advocated for him, and loved him completely. I think I kind of want to go back and redo my parenting because I've watched them on those videos and I do not compare. I know that many of us were and continue to be inspired by Joey and Stephanie's strength, courage, and strong faith through this difficult time. May God continue to give them the strength they need and a peace that surpasses all understanding. I'm grateful to know them and to have had the opportunity to share many wonderful moments with their loving son, Ethan, that I will treasure in my heart.